All right, guys, we are here. Obviously, fantastic regional games. We talked about a lot of those over the last couple of weeks, but the big week is here. It's mine and Landon's favorite time of the year. And everybody's like, oh, Christmas. Nope, not Christmas. It's the state tournament, which starts on Tuesday now that we have a new classification. And we'll dive right in. But before we do, we want to give a big shout out to CryoFix Charleston. Guys, if you're coming down this way, you need to go check them out. Fantastic people. They'll help with the muscle recovery. I mean, they have the cryo, they have the compressions, and now they have the sauna. So, guys, go check them out on Hill Street down in Charleston. Fantastic people. Big shout out to them. We'll have some stuff that we're going to give away during the state tournament from CryoFix. So, definitely excited for that. Landon, you got anything before we dive right on in?
Nope, we ready to go.
Fantastic. Obviously, guys, we're going to start in 4A and work our way to single A, but 4A doesn't start until Thursday. So I believe it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They'll play 3 games in 3 days if they make the state tournament or state championship. But we'll start at the 1 seed against the 8 seed in Martinsburg and Huntington. Huntington, obviously, the 1. Fantastic season this year. I mean, it never hurts when you add Amani Hickman and Deanna Gray to your team.
Right, yeah. I think Huntington, they're quick. Fastest team probably in the state, and then Martinsburg coming in from the Eastern Panhandle, not playing as many strong teams. I think Huntington will get up and get down the floor early, and they'll probably put this game away probably about halftime.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we calling shots.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm obviously going with Huntington. I think they're just too quick. And just too talented. Obviously, Martinsburg gave Olivia Mayer definitely a fantastic player, but I think Huntington will be too much in the end. I think Huntington moves on. And then an intriguing game to me is the 4-5 matchup's always a pick-em game, basically. Yeah. Morgantown versus Wheeling Park. Morgantown has just beat Wheeling Park. So I think they continue that, and I think Morgantown beats Wheeling Park once again and goes to the semis.
Yeah, it's round 4 of this game. Wheeling Park won the first, and then Morgantown went in the last 2, I think, times they played. And then this one comes down to, I think, experience, the main key. Morgantown having the experience last year and not losing anybody and coming back to the state tournament, I think, is what will lift them over Wheeling Park.
Definitely agree with that. Obviously, Morgantown, the team that knocked Wheeling Park out of the state tournament hunt last year. So I think Morgantown moves on, makes it a very interesting semi-matchup there. But we'll stay in the first round. And we have the 3-6 matchup. Obviously, GW, who has been fantastic. We went and watched them play before the sectional started against Woodrow Wilson, who just suffered a very big loss.
Yeah, George Washington, I still think is the most consistent team out of all the teams in the state. They've only lost 2 games, a very tough Cabell Midland squad. And for this game, I kind of like Woodrow because G-Dub, they've been known for like postseason losses and chokes. Like they don't have that, historic postseason team. But this year, I think they're more developed and more experienced with Calissa Lacey leading and Vivian Ho as seniors to step up and lead this team on a journey in Charleston. So I like them over Woodrow.
I'm definitely on the same page. Obviously, Woodrow is very talented. But I think GW with Calissa Lacey, and then you have Macy Mallory, and then the Lohan, and then Vivian. I mean, I just think there's too much talent on the floor for GW, and I think they take this one.
Sure.
And then the 2-7 matchup, we have Cabell Midland against Jefferson. I think Cabell Midland, again, just like GW, is too much. You pick with Cabell Midland, it's basically pick your poison. You can have Autumn Lewis score. You could have Jasmine Wheeler, obviously Jada and Riley, the Ali sisters, and then coming off the bench you have Sophie Aldridge, but you still have KK Potter. I mean, there's just too much, and I think Cabell Midland, no matter and that's the best part about having that many scores is if somebody's having an off night, you still have 4 or 5 people that can pick up the slack and take care of business. I think Cabell Midland's too much. And I think we get another MSAC championship rematch, and I think that's going to be a very interesting semifinal Friday.
Yeah, I think Calvin Midland, they're just so deep. It's crazy. They got Hazley Matthews back now just to add to the depth they already had. So it's crazy. Jefferson over on the Panhandle, they've had a real successful season, but not playing, the tougher teams like Martinsburg too. It just kind of keys in when you come down this way and play some of the tougher teams. So I like Midland in this game.
Definitely. We'll stay right here for the semis. We'll talk Cabell Midland GW. What a fantastic game that was. Me and you obviously were at that game at South Charleston High School, but GW has lost to Cabell Midland twice. It's hard to beat a very good team 3 times in a season, but I think you talk experience, a Cabell Midland team that was here a year ago. I think Cabell Midland takes care of business, and they're playing on Saturday.
Yeah, this matchup's probably one of the best. I mean, it could be the state title game, to be honest, but it's really a great matchup. Both teams real deep. Cabell Midland does have the upper hand with experience. And I think the biggest thing last game we noticed is in the second half, Midland kind of adjusted their defense. So they had Jada, Ali, Garden, Calissa, and it kind of took Calissa off her game. So I think Cabell Midland's going to stick to that game plan and try to get Lacey not involved on G-Dub's offense and make them find other pieces for G-Dub to win. I think Midland will end up headed to the state championship.
And now we'll move up. We have Morgantown, the 4, against Huntington, the 1. I think, once again, you talk quickness, you talk speed. And I think Huntington, fantastic Morgantown team, obviously, with Caitlin Ammons. It's hard to just be like, oh, we'll just count them out. But you can never count out a team with that much talent. But I think Huntington ends up being too much. And they match up very well against a bigger, Morgantown team. Normally, they wouldn't have the size for Caitlin. But with Amani there, and then they have a couple others, I believe, that'll match up well. I just think the issue, in my opinion, is going to be Huntington with Deanna pressing the ball and putting the pressure on I don't want to say unexperienced guards, but I think that's what's going to be the factor in that semifinal game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Huntington's defense is outstanding. Deanna and Katie Swan both pressure the ball handlers like nobody else in the state. They're gonna make you. Oh, they're gonna make you work for it. Yeah, they're gonna shake you up a little bit. So I think that plays in a big piece. I think Caitlin Ammons from Morgantown, that's a big piece. But when you have Amani Hickman on the other side, it limits her just a little bit. Not as much, but so I like Huntington.
And that's what we talked about. Me and you talked about also was we were at the GW game and where Huntington was down right after half. They pressed the ball and gave GW all kinds of fits. So I definitely think the defense of Huntington is what's going to get them to the championship game on Saturday against Cabell Midland. And this is where you talk, these two teams just played a week ago, but it was one of the worst shooting performances from Cabell Midland. I think you told me they shot 36% from the floor.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard for a team as good as they are. As Cabell Midland is, to shoot that bad again.
Right.
I think Cabell Midland figures it out. We've been riding the Cabell Midland train all season long. So no reason to jump off now. I think Cabell Midland ends up cutting down the nets on Saturday night in Charleston.
Right, yeah, Cabell Midland, terrible performance. First time against Huntington. Huntington had the home court advantage. They shook them up. Got right into them. Huntington, I think the game, what's going to come down is games. Who's better? It's obvious there because Huntington, when they played them last time, Raven Goodson stepped up. She had 23 points.
Mm-hmm. Season high, correct?
I was about to say probably season high. So it's going to be about if Huntington can get other people involved other than Deanna and Amani, because Deanna only had 4 and they still found other pieces to get Midland's win. But I do think Midland, they come out and they shoot way better than what they did, and they get the state championship.
Well, at least we're on the same page for mostly every game in 4A. Let's dive down. But, 4A, you could have with, your Huntington is 1, Midland 2, GW 3.
Right.
Morgantown, even up to the 4 seed, you never know.
Right. I will say if G-Dub, if they would get over Midland that semifinal game, I would take G-Dub in that championship game against Huntington.
Correct.
So it's just matters how it plays out.
Who gets there is the real question.
Yeah, for real.
But I mean, I definitely agree with that. GW already found a way to beat Huntington once this season. It was up on the hill, fantastic game. But I think the thing that kept Huntington in that game in the second half was their defense.
Yeah.
They gave GW all kinds of fits. But we'll dive right into AAA. Obviously, a very top-heavy, I guess you could call it, bracket here with your top 3 seeds or top 4 seeds, just like 4A. I mean, we wouldn't be surprised at all if some of these matchups went with the lower seed, but we'll dive right in with the Fairmont Senior Lewis County. Obviously, Fairmont Senior has played Lewis County this season and did beat them pretty handily the first time, and I think it's going to happen again. I think with Marley and Meredith Mayer, I just think they're too much in the first round anyway, and I think Fairmont Senior takes care of business in the first matchup.
Yeah, Fairmont Senior, they've been rolling all season. I think they just stay on the same page, man, and get that first win in Charleston.
I definitely agree with that. The 4-5 matchup in this one, I think Logan. Obviously, you have Ilderton, you have Toth. I think Logan is too much in the end. Pikeview lost a bunch. They didn't even expect Pikeview to get back to the tournament this year. But Pikeview played a fantastic game at Sissonville in that regional final. We're down, I believe, as much as 14 or 15 points and came back and won. So congrats to them first and foremost for getting back to Charleston after a fantastic year. And and nobody gave them a shot last year either. Let's be truthful.
Right. Yeah.
If we'd have done this last year, we wouldn't have picked Pikeview to beat Fairmont. And don't sit here and tell me that you would, because I believe that was the 6-3 matchup.
Yeah, it was 9:30 first game of the tournament.
And I mean, fantastic game last year to open the tournament. But I do think Logan is too much, and I think they get past Pikeview in the first round and match up with Fairmont in the second.
Yeah, Pikeview losing their bigs from last year's the difference here, because if you have bigs, you got a chance at Logan because they're not big heavy. But I do like Logan. Guard heavy. Toth will be a big key to Logan in this tournament. If she can get hot, Logan's got a chance.
And that's the thing. If she can stay consistent, obviously she hits 3 threes in a row again in the sectionals and regionals. But if she can stay consistent, obviously Peyton's going to get hers.
Right.
So I look for Logan to match up with Fairmont. Now we'll drop down to the bottom part of the bracket, the 3-6 matchup, which is the first game on Wednesday. We have our good friends from Nitro against Midland Trail. Obviously, we say that we joke about that all the time because we're doing the documentary this year for Nitro, so excited for that. But I think with Bailey, Brooklyn, Taylor Maddox, let me tell you who's impressed me the most from this team is the Ward sisters, Danielle and Patty. You put them on your best offensive player opponent, and I mean they still get their points, but it's not 30 points here. And the two of the best defensive players that we've seen probably this season.
Right. Yeah, I think Nitro recently, last 2 games, they've been slow getting out of the jump, and they've had to make comeback wins. That's been great experience, though, to show that they can play in close games. They're not rattled. They're settled down. They're calm. They're ready for the big moment. I do like them over Midland Trail. I think they're just too much.
And Midland Trail, you talk about a Midland Trail team that had to go on the road to Hoover in sectionals. They beat Hoover by 1, then played on the road at Sissonville for the sectional final. Sissonville did win there. And, I mean, Midland Trail's the team that it don't matter. They're on the road. They're going to give you everything. But I think Nitro's too much. So I definitely look for Nitro to beat Midland Trail and move on to the semis.
Definitely.
Now the 2-7 matchup is North Marion against Hampshire. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I think Olivia Tolan and North Marion take care of business in the first round with the 2-7 game. And I think they move on to play a very, very interesting game in the semis.
Yeah, I like North Marion too. I think they just got too much. Caitlin Carson coming back is a huge piece.
That's the key
team.
right there. Yep.
Yeah, just going to provide their inside game so they can get, the focus just off of Tolan or Carly Denham. But I do like North Marion here.
But the big question is Caitlin going to be 100%?
Oh, she gonna be good enough.
I didn't say she because she's a fantastic player. I said, is she going to be 100%? Because that could be the difference in a win and a loss. But I definitely think that North Marion does take care of business in the first round. And then that gives us the 2-3 matchup in the second round, which is be another fantastic game in North Marion against Nitro.
Yeah, talk about a matchup. Nitro. I'm riding Nitro train. Bailey Goings, somebody's got to find a way to stop her. If you can't stop her, then it's going to be game over, is all I know. Nitro, the big key, though, is the other players. They got to get the other players involved offensively to get their points.
And that's what we've talked about all season long as we've covered Nitro from prior to the season starting to now. If Bailey – I mean, there's no question Bailey's going to get hers. But can Brooklyn chip in 15? Can Taylor Maddox be consistent, and can she knock down 10 to 12? And then you have Danielle and Patty, who is always an added bonus when they score. Lena Elkins played fantastic against St. Joe's, whether it was the mid-range or, getting the offensive rebound and putting it back in. But I think Nitro is too much, and I think Nitro moves on to the state title.
Sorry.
So, once again, we're still on the same page. We have Logan against Fairmont Senior. I think this is going to be a fantastic matchup because I think these two teams were meant to play each other. Fairmont doesn't really have a true big inside, and obviously Logan doesn't either, so I think it's going to be a fantastic matchup. I think Fairmont Senior ends up being too much down the stretch. And I definitely think that Fairmont Senior takes care of Logan and faces Nitro in the state title.
Yeah, I think the biggest key in this game is going to be Meredith Mayer. If Fairmont does decide to throw her inside, seeing how small Logan is, and Fairmont's going to have a big upper hand there. And I do like Fairmont. They're aggressive. They get after you. So I do like them headed to the championship.
And it's not like that Marley's just a scorer. I mean, she facilitates the ball. She's very smart. Definitely excited to see her play once again. But that one versus 3 matchup in the state title, obviously we picked different on this one. I'm sticking with Nitro just because I think we're contractually obligated to pick them, at least one of us. No, but I think truly if Bailey gets her shot at the state title, I don't think she's going to let it pass. And I mean, what matchup would you want other than two of the top players in the state going head-to-head for a state championship game in AAA? I'm going with Nitro to cut down the nets and top off this documentary as perfect finish to a documentary as you could ask for. But I definitely think Nitro's got a shot, and it obviously, in my opinion, I think it comes down to which role players plays better. If Fairmont's role players play better, then I think Fairmont wins. Obviously, I'm sitting right here in the middle of the fence. But if the Ward sisters and Lena and obviously Taylor Maddox and Brooklyn and Emily, if they all play well and finish around the basket, I think it's going to be a very, very, very good AAA state title.
Yeah, role players, the biggest key of championship games. Fairmont Senior, Laney Beresford, in the regional put up 18 points, hitting tons of threes. So that really boosted Fairmont. If they can find answers from her, Emily Starn, Rebecca Jenkins, the other players outside of Marley and Meredith, if they all can get going, then they'll have a great chance at bringing home a championship, in which I think they will do.
And I definitely see that, and I truly think if that matchup does happen, I think it comes down to the role players. Obviously, the Meredith Mayers, the Marley Washness, obviously Bailey, they're going to get their points and do everything they can. But who is going to step up? That's normally not in the spotlight.
Yeah.
But we shall definitely see, I guess. Obviously, now we're going to dive into AA. Let me find that real quick. Oh, there we go. Now we have the 1-8 matchup, Parkersburg Catholic against Ravenswood. I think, don't get me wrong, I think Ravenswood has played a very, very good season. Obviously led by Annie Hunt. Big shout out to her on her commitment to Wheeling. But I think Parkersburg with Leslie Huffman and Brownie are way, way too much. And I think Parkersburg Catholic takes care of business in the first round of the tournament and moves on.
Yeah, Parkersburg Catholic, well-ran program, historic postseason team, successful, 16-0. I do like Parkersburg Catholic. I think they're too much for Ravenswood, and they'll get to the semifinals.
Definitely understand that. Now I'm going to go with the 4-5 matchup in Frankfort versus Williamstown. I'm still staying with the higher seed in Frankfort. I think they're going to be too much, and I think they take care of business in the first round and move on and play Parkersburg Catholic in the semis.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Frankfurt, the biggest thing for them is Marie Purdue. She's probably averaging 20-some. I mean, she's like great. She's kind of under the radar still, too, up there in the north. So she's going to come down, expect her to put on a show and get Frankfurt to the semis.
Definitely agree with that. The interesting matchup I have is Petersburg, obviously, against Charleston Catholic. I think Petersburg is very, very well balanced. And I don't think Catholic outside of Sydney Bowles, I don't think they have enough. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say, obviously the 3 seed beats the 6, but I think Petersburg takes care of business against Charleston Catholic.
Yeah, Petersburg, they only got one loss on the season. They're a well-rounded team led by Jenna Burgess, who's putting up great numbers recently. Catholic, yeah, they don't have much outside of Sydney Bowles, like you said. So I think I like Petersburg in this one.
In the 2-7 matchup, I think Wyoming East, who has looked nothing short of amazing this year, obviously of Skylar Davidson, but outside of her, with the support system she has in Abby Russell, Hannah Blankenship, Deja Summers, and then Sarah Saunders. I mean, it's hard to pick against a team that is on a mission who dismantled Chapmanville in the regional final. And I think Wyoming East moves on to play Petersburg in the second round.
Yeah, I agree. Mingo, they had a nice and quiet year, but very successful for them for a program like that. However, Wyoming East, they've been tearing it up. They've been tearing up everybody they've been playing other than Woodrow Wilson, and that's their 2 losses, I believe, both by single digits to a 4A team at 6 seed. So there's nothing short there to show for Wyoming East. They get to the semis.
Then you move right along and you talk Wyoming East against Petersburg. I think once again, Wyoming East is too much to handle. And I think Wyoming East moves on to the state championship game.
Yeah, I think Wyoming East, big thing is defensively, their guards are real scrappy. Both had Davidson and Russell both. I think Davidson had 13 steals, Russell 11, or the other way around in the regional game against Chapmanville. That's insane just to think about. So I like them. I think they're good out. They're good to run. And I like them getting the championship.
Definitely going to make for an interesting matchup once we talk about who we got from the top part of the bracket. We have Parkersburg Catholic against Frankfort. And once again, I think Parkersburg Catholic way too much for Frankfort. But I think it could be a very interesting game, to say the least. But I think Parkersburg Catholic pushes away and pulls away down the stretch, and I think they take care of business. And I think they play Wyoming East for a state championship.
Yeah, I think for Frankfurt, it's going to be about find those other key pieces around Marie Purdue. I don't think in this game they're going to find as much there with a talented Parkersburg Catholic team. So I do like Parkersburg Catholic.
Now we have a AA matchup with Parkersburg Catholic and Wyoming East for a state championship. Landon, who you got in this one and why?
Parkersburg Catholic, I think with experience of Huffman and Brunny and the rest of the team coming under and already being here last year and years before and the historic program, I think they can keep it rolling here in Charleston and get themselves a championship.
Well, fantastic. We were going to go the same on that, but we want to mix it up a little bit, I guess. So I'll take Wyoming East over Parkersburg Catholic. I think Skylar's on a mission with this. I don't want to say all they lose is Skylar because that is a big, big loss for them. But look for Wyoming East to be back again next year. So I definitely think that they're on a mission. And I think this is going to be another fantastic state championship game with Wyoming East edging out Parkersburg Catholic for the state title. How I look at it. But, hey, did you know that we're not allowed to be wrong in our picks? No, everybody's like, oh, you were wrong. Okay, I'm human too.
My percentage is probably under 50%. I'm surprised you haven't fired me.
If I fired you, there wouldn't be no fun during this time of the year. But now the very, very intriguing Class A matchups. We're going to start with Tug Valley and Pendleton. I think if Tug Valley's playing some of their best basketball right now, they've beat Gilmer 3 times, I believe, this season.
Yep.
And one was to get to Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Tug Valley takes care of Pendleton County, and Tug Valley moves on to the second round.
Yes, I think the single bracket, it's the open door of all the brackets. It's widespread. Tons of the top 6 teams all have really great records. First matchup, Tug Valley, Pendleton County. I do like Tug Valley. I think they're going to be too much, and they'll get to the semis.
I definitely agree with that. You talked about the top 6 teams, and I believe Riverview, as the 6th seed, only has 2 losses this year.
Right.
Talk about – I mean, you talk about a crazy bracket with the 6th seed having 2 losses. But we said the winner of this next game could make a run and win a state championship as a 4 or 5 seed. But we talked Tucker County against Webster County. Fantastic matchup. 2 great programs this year. I think in the end, I think Sidney Baird is too much. And I think Webster County knocks off Tucker County in the first round.
Yeah, I think with this matchup, it's either go inside or go outside with Tucker County, Katie Colbank inside, and the inside presence Tucker presents pretty dominant. They've had a great year. And then Webster County, Sidney Baird, the shooter, averaging 30.2 points per game, I think.
30.2 or 30.3, but the crazy part about it, I mean, not that she's averaging 30 a game, it's the crazy part, which is crazy to me that you talk about a kid averaging 30 points a game and you're like, oh, it's not that crazy for her. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's fantastic, don't get me wrong, but she just eclipsed 1,000 points as a sophomore.
Yeah, and she's leading the state in the points per game right now.
And nobody's talking about her.
Yeah, that's all right because they're gonna figure out come.
She's coming to Charleston and she's gonna put on a show.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Fun.
We were able to catch her one of the first games of the year when they played at Roane County. We were able to get out there and catch her. Fantastic player, fantastic person. Excited to watch her play again. But we'll dive into the 3-6 matchup. Calhoun County against Riverview, and me and you've talked about this matchup. Calhoun County, fantastic season. I believe Josie Montgomery just eclipsed 1,000 points also.
Yes.
So big shout out to her for that. But I think I'm going to take the 6 over the 3.
Hey.
So our first big upset of the postseason is going to be Riverview against Calhoun County, which will be the first game to open the tournament. So why not go with the 6 over 3 just like last year? This way, you can't say, well, you wouldn't have picked a 6 over 3. Now I'm going to, and I think Riverview does just enough to win, and I think Riverview moves on against Calhoun County.
I didn't think you'd do that, but I was going to note the 6-3 game open up the state tournament at 9:30 a.m. That's like AAU basketball right there. I do like Calhoun. We're sticking with it. Josie Montgomery putting on a show.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to just go higher seeds for the most part. I mean, you need one big upset.
Got to entertain the people.
So why not?
Yeah.
And then we have the 7 versus the 2 in Madonna versus Cameron. Madonna is a very interesting 7 seed, to say the least. I think Cameron does enough, and I definitely think that Cameron takes care of Madonna and moves on to play Riverview in the semis.
Yeah, Madonna done pulled up the upset in our regionals over Doddridge County. Couldn't have saw that coming. And then, but I do like this matchup. we've seen some 7-2 interesting games in the past few years, so this might be one of them. However, I do like Cameron here. I think they're too strong. They have multiple pieces to their success, so they're kind of deep as far as player was. So I do like them get to the semifinals.
We'll stay in the bottom part of the bracket and then work our way up. We have Cameron against Riverview in the bottom. I think Cameron's way too much here for Riverview, and I think Cameron moves on to play for a state championship on Saturday.
Right. I like Cameron too. Like I said, they're a deep team. They got at least four. They got at least four strong players, and then they got the other role players they can go to. Also led with a senior that's averaging, I'm not sure her numbers, but she's averaging, I think, 20-some a game, and her leadership will take over.
So we got Cameron, both have Cameron on that one, and then we have Webster against Tug Valley up top. And who knows? Like, just throw this one up. I mean, you can't go wrong with either team because, in my opinion, I think whoever wins this game wins the state title. I think the winner of this game, and I guess I'm going to go with the 1, and I'm going to go Tug Valley over Webster.
Yeah, I like Tug Valley because they got multiple pieces. Webster kind of led heavily on Sydney Baird more. I'd like Tug Valley. They got Kaylee Bazin. They got Alyssa Newsom, and then they got a couple other pieces that's going to contribute to this team. Dominant year so far. They've already played Gilmer County 3 times and beat them, probably the best team in single A other than them. So I do like them getting to the state championship.
We have Tug Valley against Cameron in single A. I think Tug Valley, just like you said, you just said it perfectly. I think they're too much. And I think Tug Valley cuts down the nets on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Tug Valley's just got too much to get this and get their state championship in Charleston.
And that's my thing, guys. There's a lot of great matchups this week. These girls deserve just as much coverage as the boys get. So we're going to do everything we can, myself with WSN, obviously Landon doing WSN, but also doing the Prep Girls Hoops. Big shout out to him and big congratulations to him. So you'll get a lot of coverage, at least from the two of us. But there'll be a lot of other people there, guys. Give us a follow on Twitter. That's where all of our updates will be, is on Twitter at WV Sports News 1. Landon, let everybody know what Prep Girls Hoops are.
At PGH_W Virginia on Twitter.
Yeah, that's not difficult at all. But,
right? Hey, I didn't get to grade it. They had me type in, and I was like, my Lord.
But guys, if you search Prep Girls Hoops WV on Twitter, you'll find it too.
Find it.
But we're going to try to do how many interviews currently do we have set up for the tournament?
Oh, man, putting me on the spot, huh?
Bunch, right?
Yeah. Over 20, that's for sure.
Okay. We are going to what our plan is. If I could talk, that'd be fantastic too.
We have 26 right now, but we'll have at least 30.
Yeah, we'll definitely get 4 more while we're here. But we have 26 interviews set up as of right now. What we're going to do, guys, we're not going to do anything too special with them. We're going to record the interview. We're going to do the interviews when we can, and we're going to post to social media, tag the school, tag the player, whatever. But they'll be up on our Twitter page, and we'll probably get the interviews up on Facebook also. But for updates, guys, next week during the state tournament, follow our Twitter page at WV Sports News 1. Go over and check out Prep Girls Hoops, West Virginia. Landon's doing a great job already, but we already knew what Landon could do, so it's fantastic work for him. Congratulations once again. But, guys, we're doing everything we can to get as much publicity to the girls' basketball side of West Virginia. But we're excited. We should be in for a long, busy week, but we're excited that we're having a state tournament. I guess we can't complain too much because we're here at this point and we're having a state tournament. Who knows what's going to happen, but excited to see some basketball. Landon, you got anything else for anybody at all?
Nope, we ready to rock and roll.
We are ready to rock. Guys, just a heads up, we'll have a preview of the documentary on Friday. going to be interesting. I guess I'm a little nervous for it. But we're excited for it. Myself and Landon will be the first two to watch it. So we will go from there and let everybody know how that turns out, guys. But if there's anybody you want us to interview while we're at the state tournament that we haven't contacted, guys, reach out to us. We're not turning anybody away. If you want to do an interview with us, just reach out and say, hey, when can I get by? And we'll work on getting you in the schedule. Win or lose, guys, come talk to us. We're very approachable people. I mean, we like to think. I mean, when you talk girls basketball duos in West Virginia, you have to talk. You have to talk myself and Landon. I mean, we came out with a graphic this week, the best duos to ever do it. Nobody's giving us our credit, but that's okay. That's okay.
They don't want to see us in the gym. That's all I know.
They don't. I mean, we might as well just put a league together and just ball out some people. Yeah. But no, guys, we appreciate all the support. We've had a fantastic year. It's been a crazy year to say the least. But we've been able to cover the kids that we promote. We covered a lot of Nitro because we're doing the documentary. But big shout out, and I want to thank everybody who supported WVSN, but I want to give a big shout out to Nitro High School in particular, just because they're allowing us to do they allow us full access to the girls basketball program the whole season. Big shout out to Garrett, Redmond, the basketball staff, obviously with Pat, Andy, Coach Swain, Coach Kenny. Fantastic people. Been great working with them this season. So it should be a fantastic finish to this regular season.
Yep, ready to wrap it up and get ready for next season.
Yeah, and then we can just look at each other and say, what are we going to post for content during the summer like we always do?
We figure something out.
But it's vacation time.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It is vacation time. But, guys, once again, tune in all over social media. We'll have all kinds of content for you for the girls basketball tournament. Stay tuned, guys.